Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to today's video. So I was going to film this as like a vlog, but I literally realized I have so much I want to say about like online university, UCL, my masters, that I was like, I need to just make it into a full dedicated video. So I hope you guys don't mind. If you didn't know, I am at UCL. Well, I'm not really at UCL, I'm doing everything online, but I'm studying for my masters at UCL. So I'm doing the cancer MSc, so Master in Science, and it's a 1-year course. I've literally just finished my first term. It actually finished today because it's Friday. We're just going to talk about everything from like academics to the non-existent social life, but I just thought we needed this big review, right? Because I literally never thought I'd be studying online, like entirely online. I am gonna say at the start, my experience has been generally very positive and it has exceeded a lot of my expectations. That is a good thing to start with, right? But yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Anyways, like it if you do. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to talk about was kind of like course content and the overall kind of workload. If you have followed like my vlogs and my weekly vlogs throughout this term, you may know some of this, but essentially every week we have a mix of lectures. Most of those are pre-recorded and then uploaded onto Moodle, but occasionally they have been live. Like 2 of our lectures have been live, I think, this term anyway. And then we also have tutorials, which are interactive on Zoom. We then have seminars, which are just like research talks, and then Q&A sessions. They are designed for us to give like feedback, to ask questions regarding like our academic studies. Oh, and then we also have like ongoing assignments throughout the term, which I will also talk about later. One of the things we were told at the very start of term was that because everything is online, there is going to be more guidance with our learning. So I was a bit concerned about that, and I feel like it has been a bit more structured and regimented, which is something I didn't really expect from a master's. Sometimes they tell you to read this or to do this and they're optional activities, and I just kind of choose to do it if I'm interested in that or not. So it has been totally fine. I just thought at the start I was like, oh my gosh, because in the first week they gave us this activity to like make revision notes, and I was a bit like, why are they telling me to make revision notes? Like, I'm gonna do it anyway. But it really wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be when they said it's gonna be more structured. At the start of the term, at the very start, there were quite a few like technical issues with the lecture recordings, and then we also had a few issues with everything being uploaded on Monday. Like, it wouldn't come out until late afternoon, evening, or sometimes even Tuesday, which was kind of a bit frustrating when we were expecting it to come out on Monday. However, it did get better throughout the term, and it's like totally understandable. Like, everyone, not just us as students, but like the people running the course, they obviously had to get used to the whole online learning thing as well. The final thing I want to say about workload in particular is that they told us at the start, like during our induction week, that we were supposed to be doing like around 40 hours per week. This is a full-time master's course. I've like never calculated how many hours I study every week because that's just like a pointless exercise, but I would definitely say I do work more than 40 hours per week, like study more than 40 hours, but it's just like a reflection, I would say, of the fact that I love what I'm doing. I love my course. I'm doing this master's because I want to, and that's like the best thing about like doing a master's and even an undergraduate. Like, you get to study something that you really love. So yeah, it does get quite stressful. There is a lot to do some weeks, but it's fine. I now just want to talk a bit more about the lectures and tutorials because I feel like there's more to say about those in particular, and then like our assessments and exams and stuff. We're going to start with lectures, obviously. So as I said, they're mostly pre-recorded and they're split up into like mini lectures, which is what they refer to them as. For example, we may have lectures on, say, what if we had lectures on? So many lectures, why can't I think right now? Okay, let's say hormonal signaling in cancer, for example. We had mini lectures firstly looking at hormones and hormonal signaling, and then we looked at breast cancer treatments, resistance, and then prostate cancer treatment and resistance, sort of thing. Those were the 3 mini lectures. That's how they kind of structure it. And the reason why they did it as like these mini lectures was to kind of help you focus for a shorter amount of time, and then you could take a bit of a break and then go on to the next one. However, I do just want to say like 2 things about this. So the first thing is that these like mini lectures, the average length is like 20 minutes. And at the start of the term, some of them were even like 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and you know, they really were truly mini lectures, okay? However, as we like progressed throughout the term and the weeks went by, these mini lectures turned into normal size lectures and sometimes even like macro lectures because they just got so long. And there were still many of those lectures within one topic, and so it just took so much longer. Like, they went from being 20 minutes to like 40 minutes. To me, that's not really a mini lecture anymore. So yeah, the second thing I want to say is that with these lectures, for me, I found that like a 20-minute lecture, for example, or mini lecture, would take me not 20 minutes, it took me like 2 hours. And I'm not even joking, sometimes it would literally take me 2 hours to go through one 20-minute lecture sometimes. The spacebar, like play and pause, that was literally like the devil, okay? You can press play and pause whenever you want and however many times you want. Like, it literally got ridiculous. A lecturer would say one sentence and I would press the spacebar to pause it because I wanted to get down every tiny detail. 20 minutes to 2 hours, there's a big difference there. It was really annoying. Like, that was the worst thing for me, because in a real live lecture, when you go to a lecture and you sit in a lecture hall, you can't tell the lecturer to play and pause. Like, you can't play and pause the lecturer in real life. Having done them for 3 years during my undergraduate, like, I didn't care if I missed a few details here and there. Our lectures at Cambridge were never recorded. If there was something in particular that I wanted to, you know, pick up, I just asked like my friend Izzy, who was probably sitting next to me. But with these recordings, don't even get me started. Like, I think as well, another reason why I was doing this and worried about getting down every detail is because we have multiple choice exams, and that basically means memorizing everything. I sometimes tried to remedy this by putting my MacBook right in the corner of my desk, somewhere where I couldn't like reach it as easily, and I had to just say to myself, look Holly, you have to just scribble things down, just like don't pause it, and you can always just go back over the lecture, which is another thing I would never have done in the past. Like, I never went back over lectures. That's just like a new thing for me, and I won't even be going back over lectures because that's not something I want to do. I want to watch a lecture once and then be done with it. Like, I don't rewatch lectures. Overall, I really liked the lectures. There's always going to be like variability in the way in which they're presented. Something else we just need to mention about the lectures, alongside some of them, not all of them, we had like these quizzes to just kind of like test our understanding. I loved the quizzes. Sometimes they were a bit frustrating because the answers I didn't really agree with, and in those cases I did email the lecturers. I had one lecturer reply to me, the other lecturer has not to this day replied to me, so I'm a bit sad. But I did really love the quizzes because I just think quizzes are really fun, because it's not a test, it's like a quiz, and so I was like, oh, this is fun. And I would have liked quizzes for like every lecture series, but not every lecture like made a quiz. Let's talk about tutorials. So every Tuesday at 11 a.m, sorry, for an hour and a half, we would have a tutorial. And across our course, because there's like 40 people, I think, on my course, there are like 4 tutorial groups. I was in tutorial group 1 because that was the online tutorial group. Groups 2 to 4, they had like face-to-face tutorials for the majority of term, actually, because most people on my course are actually in London. So yeah, our tutorial was on Zoom basically, and there were about like 13, 14 people in my group, something like that. Every week we would basically get set questions, and then in the tutorial we would go through those questions, and they were like problem solving based, so I really enjoyed them. Like, I loved the tutorial activities. They were just so fun. Like, it really made me think, and I thought they had so much potential. There was a lot of scope to like have good, proper conversations, scientific debates, discussions about these questions. However, the problem, right, is that I feel like they fell flat in the tutorial because it was so awkward on Zoom, and I'm not even exaggerating. It was so awkward, and they didn't really seem to get any less awkward throughout term, which was a bit of a shame, to be honest with you, because as I said, they had so much potential. I feel like these tutorials, like the amount of awkward silences was just actually crazy. So the kind of setup is that we have our tutorial group, and then we have our course organizer who is on the call, and every week one of us will be assigned the, what do we call it? Oh, what do we call it? The lead? No. Chair. The chair. Somebody basically acts as the chair of the session every week, so they like talk through the questions and they say, okay, we're gonna do this question now, we're gonna do this one, and they ask people to give their answers, sort of thing. I chaired like our second tutorial, and I was fine to do it. Like, I was totally fine to do it, but essentially no one has their cameras on in the tutorials, and when you speak you basically turn on your audio. In our like first 2 sessions, people would also turn on their video camera as well if you wanted to, but then people just stopped doing that as well. I spoke so much in those tutorials. Like, when I had supervisions at Cambridge, and I spoke a lot about this, I had really bad imposter syndrome, especially in supervisions at Cambridge. I hardly said anything. I was so quiet. However, I have never been, not even extroverted. Like, I've just said so much in these tutorials, and like, it got to the point when our course organizer was like, I think somebody else should answer this question, and I'm like, yeah, feel free, somebody else can step in instead of me. I don't want to be the only one contributing. There were about 5 or 6 of us that would say stuff. I get it, people don't want to say stuff, like, we don't know each other, but like, I really thought that people would have said more than they did. So yeah, sorry, I had to get that off my chest because they were really awkward, and I did get frustrated sometimes because we'd waste time. like waste so much time. About our seminars then, I'm not going to say much about these, but they were just research talks. I thought they were really interesting, a lot of those. And then secondly, about our Q&A sessions on Fridays, they were also an hour. Sometimes they were shorter because it just depends on how many questions we had, but I thought those were so useful because everything is online. It was really great to have a dedicated session where we could give our thoughts, ask questions, and give feedback, and the people like running our course were really on it. Like, they did respond to our feedback. Sometimes it took a bit of time for things to be put into place or things to be changed or answers to be given, but like they really did work hard to make sure that we were satisfied and we were getting what we wanted. So yeah, moving on now to assessments basically. So essentially we have had this term 3 assignments, which actually doesn't sound very much at all, but they've been big assignments, like really big assignments, like beasts of assessments. Okay, so yeah, our first one was like a practice assessment. It was just like writing an essay basically, and then the second 2 have been assessed. They count for like 50% of each of these 2 modules that we're currently doing, which is a lot. Like, that's a high weighting. The second one was to do with our second core module, all about like cancer therapeutics and treatment of cancer, and that was based on a clinical trial. Like, if you watched my vlogs, you probably heard me talk about it, but we were given a clinical trial paper that we had to like critically evaluate, and we had to answer these questions and everything. And then the third one, which we literally just finished this week and submitted, was for our first core module to do with like the basic biology of cancer, and that was like a data analysis task. We had to do so much stuff on Excel, and then we had to write a report and everything. So yeah, again, it was a really big assessment. All of them except the first one, which didn't count, that was an essay, so that was very similar to undergrad. But like the other 2, they've been very much focused on like critical analysis and really like picking apart data, and that I found like challenging, but it's been a really fun and rewarding and enjoyable challenge. We haven't got our marks back for either of those 2, and so I'm really worried. But at the end of the day, like, I enjoyed doing them, and I felt as if I learned how to do things through completing them. Okay, my battery just died, so the angle may have just like changed slightly, but it's okay. What was the next thing I was going to talk about? Exams. Yeah, we have January exams, which is quite scary for me because I haven't had January exams in a very long time. Exams that actually count. I'm not talking about mocks or anything. These are exams that count towards my final grade for my masters, and they're online exams, so that is also new for me. It's basically like, you know, Happy New Year, you have 2 exams that count. Have fun. I'm gonna save talking about that for vlogs because that is why I'm gonna be revising over Christmas sort of thing, over the holidays. The format of those exams hasn't actually been confirmed. Like, they are gonna be online, but how they're done online hasn't been confirmed yet, which is kind of a bit of an annoying situation to be in. But yeah, all I'm gonna say is we do have exams, and therefore our 2 modules that we're doing at the moment. Okay, I think we've spoken a lot about academics. We need to branch away from academics right now. We need to talk a bit, because there's not really much to say about this, but the social life. So I'm obviously at home doing my degree, and yes, I have not met anyone on my course. I know one person because Jasmine was a really close friend of mine at Cambridge. It was nice to have someone on the course that I knew really well. Having said that though, within my tutorial group, we would have like separate calls outside of the tutorials, and that was really nice because yes, they were dedicated to us talking about work and stuff. We did like get off topic at the end, and we would just talk about non-academic, non-studying related stuff. I know names and I've seen some faces, but it's all a bit of a weird situation. Okay, and then another big thing is like me being at home. I was really worried and anxious about being at home and studying. I was really apprehensive about it. I wasn't trying to think negatively, but I really just couldn't see it working, me being at home and me studying. I just didn't know any different because I'd obviously studied at Cambridge. Like, I went to Cambridge and studied because that was like pre-pandemic era, which seems like a century ago. To me, university didn't mean me being at my desk at home doing lectures online and tutorials on Zoom. Like, it just wasn't a thing that I knew about, and I had to obviously get used to it, and I have like literally adapted. It's actually been really good. Like, I've really enjoyed it, and that's been like the biggest surprise for me because I just didn't think it would work. My family knows that I have very set routines, and I'm just very grateful that they came to terms with the fact that I will be in my own zone. Like, I need my own space when I'm studying, and I will have my own routine. As strange as it may be, I do have set things that I do at set times, and I'm grateful that I've been given the space to do that at home. The fact that you do everything online is so good in some ways because it saves you a lot of time. You literally don't have to go anywhere, and the number of times I have been either like stretching out after a run or getting changed, or sometimes even on the toilet when I'm on a Zoom call. Obviously I'm muted and I don't have a camera on, okay, but the number of times I've done that, it's not too many times, okay. Don't get me wrong, I'm not always on the toilet in a tutorial, like it's quite rare, but I have done it a few times. On the flip side, I do just want to mention the kind of repetitive nature of doing everything online, because you don't go anywhere and there isn't really too much change in scenery, so sometimes it can get a bit repetitive and monotonous. Like you come to the start of the week, you have everything uploaded on Moodle, and it's just like, oh my gosh, I have to get through so many lectures and I have to do this and this, all the same stuff basically. It just feels sometimes really quite repetitive, and the fact that you have to do everything yourself, like you're not going to a lecture at a set time, you can do it whenever you want. You have to feel motivated to get through this stuff, otherwise you just won't get it done. And so that is one of the drawbacks, I would say, because you have to tell yourself like, you're gonna do this lecture now, you have to be focused and it's all on you. I thought that there might be an opportunity for me to dance at UCL, but when everything came to being online, nothing came of that. I haven't danced at all. Like I think there were maybe some online classes at UCL, but I just haven't gotten involved with any of the societies. Yeah, I've just been doing other stuff, so I haven't found the time to even look at societies, and it's not really my focus, to be honest with you. Okay, I don't know how long I've spoken for in this video about UCL, but I told you I was going to give you loads of details, right? I do have exams and I do have a lot of revision to do, so I will be updating you in my vlogs and everything. Definitely like this video if you enjoyed it. As I said at the start, comment down below if you have any specific questions, and yeah, if you want to stick around, you can subscribe and hit the bell, the usuals, and I will speak to you very soon in another video. Bye!